Hey there, family. Let me get Hanifa on board. Whew. Hoping all is well. It is 2 o'clock. Uh-oh. Rotate the stream and landscape. Okay. Like so. Oh, hey, Genesis. Hey, Hanifa. Oh, I'm sorry. I was. Um, YouTube. Here we go. Now it's set. Hey, Ladybug.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you feel?
I'm gonna text you the ingredients, okay? I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Hey guys. Hey Ipar. Do us a favor. Share this video for us, please. Share and hit your thumbs up button if you can hear us okay. Because that's important. We want to make sure that you guys can hear us loud and clear out there. Please. Welcome to the Empower Hour. I am Al Kumar.
And I'm Hanifa.
And we do this each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. Normally, you would see Hanifa and I in the eLife Media Studio over in Capitol Heights, Maryland. However, that's not the case this month. So we've been kind of live streaming in our comfort of our own homes, and people have been responding to that, Hanifa. They've been saying that they like this kind of they like this mode.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's good. I like it too.
Right. But we do have a couple of shows with some guests coming up. So we will be in the studio again soon. But as of now, we are live streaming. Two separate locations, but you both can see us again right here on the screen. Today's topic is going to be about protection. And what does that look like? What does that mean? What is the vibe behind all that? So, Hanif, I know you were pretty excited about this topic.
Yes, I was.
How come?
If my reaction is a little slow today, just excuse me.
How you feeling?
I'm in my last trimester. Need I say any more?
Okay, say no more.
I got about 3 more weeks, 3 to 4 more weeks to go.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of dragging a little bit, but I'm okay.
You know, your face, some people, they carry the babies in so many different places. But if nobody saw your belly, I would have never known that you was pregnant. Some people just blow up.
Oh no. All of it is in the belly. That's why. All of it. Everyone that sees me says that the stomach is just growing out this way. That's it. Nothing else really is going on. I haven't changed any clothes. Nothing.
Yeah. Wow.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, man.
Let me get some light. Hold 1 minute.
Okay. So again, family, if you guys are just joining us, let me do some sharing. Please share so we can get as many people into this discussion as possible. As you know, here on the Empower Hour, if you've ever tuned in before, we like to bring the community in on the discussion because this affects us all. So it's not just about Hanifa and I sitting here and just kind of lecturing to you all. We need feedback. We need comments. We need you guys to share your personal experiences and things of that nature as well. So please join us and invite your online family to join us as well. Okay, so let's go. We are on protection.
Yes.
Protection. And
so the reason why we kind of brought this topic, we chose to talk about it is because Of recent, we've been hearing a lot about, well, we discussed this before, Alkama, on our show, where we were surprised to find that a lot of Black women didn't feel protected. We talked about this maybe sometime last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and right before this whole R. Kelly docuseries,
Mm-hmm.
we we discussed it a little bit, and then this document, yeah, it came out, and so then the topic kind of came to the surface again. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Carvel. Thank you. And so we figure we were discussing it like, well, what is protection? When we talk about protection, are we clear on what is it that we're asking for?
Right.
When Black women say they don't feel protected by Black men, can we
Mm-hmm.
be clear on what we're saying? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
I found oftentimes that there are stories attached to that statement, or yeah, stories, whether it's directly, they've had a experience directly or indirectly. They may have witnessed something. It could have been online, it could have been in their own lives, in their own homes. So we wanted to kind of touch this topic. For those of you guys that are viewing, we wanted to touch it because we kind of wanted to be clear on what, when we talk about protection, what exactly are we saying? Is it
Right.
physical protection? Are we talking about when coming to Black women's defense, regardless?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a whole lot to say on that part as well, because I know one of the things that I feel we need to do away with, specifically not just as men, but just as women. I respect who respect themselves. That's detrimental. That's very detrimental. And over the years, I've learned how detrimental that can be and how much of a barrier that is, for us to step in when people are being victimized.
Mm.
Because you feel because she had on a short skirt, it's okay, that it's almost like saying it's okay to stand by while you watch five men try to put their hands up her skirt. Your idea is, well, she not respecting herself. It's detrimental, but she did still have no right to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so, so that's kind of why we wanted to kind of discuss it today. Before I even go off, I just kind of wanted to put it I
Yeah.
wanted to put it out there as to why we wanted to bridge the topic.
Yes.
It's a big one, and it's coming up again now.
It is coming up
Mhm.
again big time, out of
Yeah.
the woodwork, and rightfully so. Again, I would say rightfully so, because these are the discussions I think that we don't have enough. We don't have enough of, and then when they things like this do pop up, we get so many different types of perspectives on it, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a fighting match. So
Yeah.
everybody's fighting against each other. About their own, how they perceive the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no clear roadmap.
Yeah.
It's no clear
Yeah.
roadmap.
Because what is disrespect to you may not be disrespect to me, and that's where it gets kind of like blurry.
Yes.
Um, and then also too, I just want to be very clear. Like, if we're gonna discuss this, let's discuss this in a civil, respectful, and
Yeah.
loving manner.
Thank
Let's not get caught up in the divisiveness that can also usually follow these type of topics, because
you.
I'm
Yeah.
finding that when we talk about like respect, there's a divide that happens between the Black man and the Black woman, and we're not here to encourage that,
Right.
or even perpetuate it at all. We
Correct.
just need to have a conversation about it so that everyone can leave with if not a better understanding, kind of like a provocation of thought, so that they can go home and continue to process it within their own lives.
Correct. I
Yeah.
agree wholeheartedly. Thank you for saying that too. Yeah, because again, what I found when I was communicating with the public about this subject is that there was no clear cut examples. There was
Yeah.
no examples. What one person may have described as protection, another person completely shot down. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, wow, it's interesting that we don't have like a solid kind of roadmap of what the whole description, even the description of what that means or what that looks like. So I'm
Mhm.
interested in us digging into this topic.
Yeah.
So what would you describe? How would you describe protection of a woman? And Hanifa?
Um, Protection of a woman, if you see any sort of harm coming to that woman that you step in. No one is saying that you have to shoot someone or kill someone in the situation, but we're saying step in, say something. Don't pull out a camera and tape the situation. Don't um act act blind to the situation. Even if you're not sure of all the details of it, at least try to even speak up and say something, even if it's a hey, hey, don't do that, or because I've been in
Something.
situations where I've had to do that from a distance, right here in DC.
Mm-hmm,
This
mm-hmm.
was a situation between a mother and a child, um, and it was as simple as saying, "Hey, if you do that again, I'm gonna call the authorities." And it was a mother and her teenage child. Now I don't know what that mom is going through, what stress she had. It was the teenage girl and a lot of other little girls. I don't know the full story behind of it. What I do know is what I see. And what I saw was very, very, very inappropriate and abusive. She was, I guess she was disciplining her child, and she disciplined her. She was kind of in her face. The little girl did not disrespect her, did not, like, how buck against her parent or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
now, because people are out in public, the teen try to walk off, like, try to, like, get ahead from the embarrassment. The teenage girl had really long braids. Mom grabbed her from the braids and pulled her back. So I'm watching the whole thing, and so by the time that happened, me and then this other brother that was across the street at the other bus stop, both of us yelled out like, "Hey!" You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't care if that's your child. That's not
Mm,
okay.
mm,
And I don't really believe in public embarrassment of children anyway, so that could have been my trigger. I
mm-hmm,
just don't
mm-hmm.
believe in it.
Right.
I think it's unnecessary. You can discipline your child when you get home, especially the child is not doing anything back. She wasn't talking back. She wasn't doing anything like that. But that was me just say I wasn't close up to them. And the mom was like, "I don't give a F. This is mine and this is my child and whatever." And that's where it gets tricky. But
Mm-hmm,
I would, and had she done anything else to her, I would have called someone. I would
mm-hmm.
have, because it's not, that wasn't okay. It was very abusive. So what I'm saying is, and no one is saying you have to get right up in the situation, but we live in a time where people are just recording stuff. People are just coming online and talking about it. People are
Mm-hmm,
not interceding. People are not, like, getting involved at all.
mm-hmm.
So when I say protection, I mean as simple as the story I gave you with the black girl, and she was wrong. She was wild in that day, and the guy went, Spanish guy went to kind of like physically attack her, and a black guy who was trying to calm her down and say, "Sis, you need to chill," got in the middle and say, "I got that she's wilding, but what you're not gonna do her that though,"
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because you could
mm-hmm.
tell the guy was going to put his hands on her, even though the situation had nothing to do with him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that brother stepped in and just stand between him and her. He stood in front of her and say, "I know she wilding. You need to chill, but what you're not going to do is that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to let you put your hands on her." Something
Okay.
as simple as that is what I'm saying. Also, when we're attacked, verbally attacked, build us up. Build us up. Black men are attacked all the time,
Mm-hmm.
with the stereotypes and different things. And we see the sisters try to come in and talk about, we love black men. Not all of us, because there's some vile, vile, vile sisters out there that's really against the black man. I watched a whole video yesterday and it was just straight bashing the black man. And I'm like, okay, I got what y'all is saying, but now this has become a bashing session that I can no longer participate in. So I
Mm-hmm.
will exit the conversation. But I'm saying, even if you see, not all black women are like that.
Right.
Throw something out there to counter it.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I
And,
mean?
and educate those who don't. But you know what comes to mind as I hear you talk? It's like, um when you just mentioned how the women were bashing the man. Does protection only fall on the man to
No.
provide? Because yeah, I mean, because I think it goes both ways. I'm looking at Khalif's comment where he says, how the hell is a woman going to tell how to be protected? LOL, shaking my head at us. I guess he's saying we aren't qualified to have this discussion.
I disagree with that, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're in a relationship, brother Khalif, with a woman, you see, this is where we, when we lump everybody in together, right? So you find a woman, you're in a relationship, you have this broad idea of what, let's say, I'm going to use the example of love. Okay, this is how you love a woman. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
No, you need to find out from her how to love her. That
Mm-hmm.
person should be the person telling you. So, in other words, they're a woman. We all have different experiences and how we grew up. You, as a brother, might come in and think this is how she feels protected. And I'm looking at you like, what you doing? You're not really doing anything for me.
Yeah, because we teach others how to treat us.
Exactly. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
we can tell you how we feel protected. You
Right.
know what I mean? And I think
Right.
that's like yeah, because a brother can come in and do the bare minimum and think he's doing a whole lot, and we're looking like for example, let's use the McDonald's situation with the young lady at the McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a young black brother that was there that went and held her. He could have felt that he was protecting her. But when you saw with her interview, and she said, if she didn't do anything, who would have done anything? So
She out of her own mouth.
who are we to tell that young lady that she can't say what protection is to her? Of
How she
course we
feel,
can.
how she felt in that moment.
Of
Yeah,
course we can tell you what makes us feel protected. Of
of
course
course
we
we can.
can.
Of course we
Yeah.
can. Yeah, so and I do believe that it goes both ways, as
Yes.
far as the protection is
Agree.
concerned, because we have a responsibility as women to protect our men as well.
Absolutely.
And we do that in a myriad of different ways, such as speaking up for them. Like
Exactly.
when we hear women bashing men and and putting lumping all our brothers in one category, all men are dogs and things of that nature. It's our responsibility as women who know better than that to say, wait a minute, well, sister, that's not necessarily the case. I have a wonderful man,
Right.
that is nowhere near a dog. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't appreciate you lumping all our brothers into that same category. So I do think that protection piece goes both ways. And and I also think that a lot of times we feel, or we've gotten into this place where we believe that protection is only a physical thing.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
only in the physical realm is where the protection. So the mind, we're not even thinking of other forms of protection, such as protecting a woman or a man's feelings and emotions. Why I think of this latest example of this whole R. Kelly scandal, and how so many women were coming forth sharing how they felt about the situation because of their own personal dealings with sexual abuse.
Right.
And I
Right.
think in a lot of the discourse, I didn't see a lot of our brothers protecting them emotions and sympathizing and empathizing with the men and women and men, because there was some men out there, sharing their experience as well. And instead of brushing off, oh, that happened to you a long time ago, get over it. I actually heard that said,
Wow. Yeah.
yes, girl. It was a
Yeah.
lot of really insensitive comments being
That's
said.
a good word.
And
Insensitive. Yep.
that, I think, falls under the realm of us not being protected as well. Just
Yeah.
emotionally, we can go into how cheating, how we cheat on our partners, and that's
Yeah.
not protecting them, because now you're opening them up for pain, heartache, disease. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
all those kind of things fall into that realm.
I
It's
think
just
I
my
think I think that we have to be careful, because we have this um thing that we do where we separate, and there is some differences, of course, between the male, female, feminine, masculine, woman, man. They're there, right? And
hmm
I think what happens is because men oftentimes see us as the most emotional species, right?
hmm
So when we emote and when we respond in certain ways, it becomes like that's how women are, and it's dismissed. You know what I mean? It's dismissed. And I think we gotta be careful careful of that. We have every right to emote in situations like rape and domestic violence, and yes, yes, you're gonna see our emotions come up, but that's not a reason for you to dismiss it. And also to this thing, I think that oftentimes people think because years have passed by that
Mm-hmm.
time should have given you should have had enough time to kind of get over it and let it go. And that's not how trauma works. Because
Mm-hmm.
here's the reality. That's how guess who feels that way? White
What's
people feels that way about black people and slavery. That
mm,
it happened a long time ago and we should get over it. Most
mm-hmm.
of us have never seen a plantation. Why
Mm,
do we talk about slavery then? If,
mm.
and we're talking hundreds of years that have passed. Why do we even bring those things up? So if we can understand how that the generational stuff from what you call it slavery still affects us today, then you can understand how something that happened 20 years ago is still affecting the adult today. Come on now, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Let's go back to the stream. Khalif, I think he just, this brother normally comes in opposition to a lot of, especially on my page. So I think he's just
That's
thrived
okay.
a lot off of opposition, you know. Stephanie says recording is sometimes necessary. However, does it not remind us of those who stood around admiring the lynching, burning, castrating of our people? Wow. Going into, yeah, she was just saying, like what you was just saying, that how
Yeah, with the
we're
with the
told to get over
recording.
it, get
Yeah,
over
and also with the
slavery.
recording. And Stephanie, when I talk about the recording, it's sort of like if my son is being harmed,
Hmm.
I'm not going to turn on a camera, right? If I'm going to want to step in to make sure that he's safe and he's okay. The idea that the first thing that comes to mind is to turn a camera on is it just
Mm.
it still blows my mind. It really does.
How do we get there? How do we get to that point though, where
I think
that's our knee jerk reaction, as
I think
opposed
it
to
I think it has part of the times we live in. Everything is about celebrity. People don't tape record that stuff to keep it to themselves.
yeah,
They post it and
yeah.
hopes, and a lot of people post stuff in hopes that it goes viral.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's the disgusting part of it.
Wow. So yeah, and I think that we're in a place where we're addicted to drama.
Yes, yes, and entertainment.
We're addicted to it, to
Yes,
where if it's exciting, if it's an
yep.
adrenaline rush, if it's something that is exciting, it's something going to be eye popping. Um, our focus, is
And then
there.
we want to process later.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
damage is
after the
done by
fact.
that time. We want to process it later, but the damage is done. There are
Yeah,
some things that I've seen circulated, and I'm not even looking just at the person who posted it initially, but even the
hmm,
people who are circulating it. I'm like, what? Why would you even want to share that?
yeah, yeah. As entertainment, And in all fairness to us as a community, I have seen a lot of all the like fight scenes and stuff. Maybe that's just me, in my
Hmm.
opinion. But I have over the years found that a lot of the fight scenes and all that stuff has has dipped substantially. It used to be all over the place, but I think for me, I don't know if that's for everybody else out there. I've noticed a trend of it ticking where people
Oh, okay.
will post fights and us, cursing each other out and us just being at our worst out there and exposing that to the whole world. Um, and speaking of protection as it relates to that, I think that's dangerous, and I think because a lot of people have spoken out against that, that a lot of people have been more careful in not presenting that to the world, because I think that that's a dangerous place for us to be, because we don't recognize, and a lot of us like to say things like, oh, they white people portray us in the worst of light, and they must want to see, they show us on our media as monsters and da 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 da. Absolutely they do. But I don't think we understand and recognize that when we post a lot of negative and derogatory depictions of ourselves in video and in photographs and things like that, we're actually helping.
Yeah.
We're actually helping the white man present us in the worst and negative, in the most negative light. And that falls under the realm of protection too, because we're not even protecting our own image, our own self-image out there. It's like that goes into the psyche of the people who watching. So if they already think you're an animal, a monkey, a monster, and all these negative things, and you show them, here, let me show you us acting like animals. What is it? That just reconfirms how they feel about us.
Right.
So we have to be more strategic and think more critically about the things that we do. And then when people treat us like animals, we want to cry about it. Well, what is the harm? What is so wrong with showing us in the best of light? Why do we have to show each other fighting and cursing each other out and being, you know what I'm saying? Why do we have to show all this to the world? Why don't we show ourselves in a different light of our beautiful African centeredness? You know, we have a lot of
why do we find it entertaining? The things that demean us and make us look that way, why do we find it entertaining in the first place? That's something we have to ask ourselves. It's almost like saying that, well, we're deserving of what's happening in this clip. You know, like we're presenting it as if this is how we should treat each other. And it's funny to the point where we could take our Kelly situation and make funny memes about it and circulate it around the internet. Like there are people who are actually triggered by this docu-series, and and then there are people who this thing is bringing up a lot of things to the surface, and you making a meme about it and trying to make it like funny. Even with Bill Cosby, it becomes this whole comedy, and I'm like, what is it about us that we do that to ourselves?
Yeah, well,
those are the type of things that we have to ask. Why do we do that? Why do we destroy ourselves from the inside out?
I was just want to say that it's self-inflicted wounds. It's almost like a cutter. You know what I'm saying? Where people will actually cut themselves to feel better about that. There is so much internal pain.
When you hear, now I know that you said you've been hearing this a lot the last time we talked about it. When you hear Black women say they don't feel protected by Black men, what does that mean to you? What do Black women mean by that? And why are you hearing it so often?
Answer that question for her, please, family. If you guys are out there and you're a woman, Hanifa just asked a very insightful question. What does that mean to you?
And this isn't for the men on here to get offended. Right. This is a conversation, it's a discussion, it's for us to come to an understanding. And so in order to do that, we have to hear each other out,
Yes.
Let's take the emotion out of it for 1 second and try to hear each other out. So if you're on the live and you're a woman, and then even if you haven't said it, you've heard it. And what do you think that means, Because like I told you, I recently was able to kind of make a connection. And that was just an example from my own life. But that was when I was like a teenager. You know what I mean? And I use a couple of examples of that to where I watched men hit women who were close to me in front of other men. And it's nothing that those women did, but no man that was around stepped in. And I'm talking where it's just like an area and it's just full of men outside, whether they're outside playing dominoes or whatever it is, and something happened and a man hits a woman like she's a man and no man steps in. The people who stepped in and who reacted were all women. What is that? So something like that, I can go back into my upbringing and I can look back and I found about 4 different incidents. It's funny how these things get pushed in the back of your mind. 4 incidences where I could be like, I can get why women can make those type of statements. Because I was a teenager. Now, as an adult, I can't tell you I've seen or been in a situation. And that's also because people who had chose to surround myself with, I haven't seen or felt unprotected, or I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen a situation where a guy didn't step in, or, not of recent. But if I go back when I was a teenager, absolutely. And like I said to you, that comes a lot too from most of us who grew up in the hood. You have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
You have seen it. Hood
Mm-hmm.
culture is an
Good
abusive
culture.
culture.
Going back
I'm
to the
going
hood.
to keep saying that. Hood culture is an abusive culture. There is no respect for women there. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And so that's my upbringing. So I'm thinking of all how, like, the thousands and the millions of women across the globe who may have felt like that since they were little, like you brought up, uh, uh, girls who was what do you call it, molested, and the man was protected over them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you tell that person that they can't say black? Like, you can't dismiss their feelings because it's connected to an actual experience.
Right.
So if you're on the live, woman, and you've heard it said, or you yourself feel that way, can you just let us know why you feel that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Carvel says, shaking my head. That's all they promote on TV about black people, especially women. I think she was going back to your question as to why we promote each other in the worst of light. I mean, why
Mm-hmm.
do we get excited about those type of videos and things like that?
Right. And what Sita is saying, you can see, for some reason you can read the comments in its entirety, and I can't.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
says this discussion is needed because some brothers and men may not know that the sisters feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
What else she said after that?
That was it. That
Okay.
was a full comment. Yeah. Yeah. And let me see what was okay. Thank you, Denori. Jimmy just says we have not protected our women as black men. Um, and Aaron had mentioned, he said the brother was trying to break it up before it started um, at the McDonald's restaurant. So,
Right, right. And so that's what, yeah, yeah. And so, but some people still got, they still got the backlash because people felt like they should have, they should have done more, you
yeah.
know. Someone, they took too, in my opinion, their reaction to the guy, it was just too slow. The first reaction was to hold her, and again, that could be connected to the fact that she was at her job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And these are her co-workers, and they're looking like, hey, you can't fight on the job. That could have been their reaction. So let's
Well,
go ahead.
yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Well, how does fear play in the factor of protecting people, especially people that out in the public sphere? You know, because you hear people will say, you hear you say, step in, do something, speak up. And then I hear a lot where even, a lot of brothers will say, well, these days that's dangerous. You don't know who got a
Yes.
gun. You know what I'm saying? Your
Yeah.
life could be put on the line, and they go into different scenarios where they hear where people have stepped up and lost their life in the process.
Yeah.
So
Or
how,
even domestic violence situation. I hear a lot of men that stay out of those
yeah,
because you step in and you get your neck slit, and
mm,
they cuddled up tomorrow.
that's true.
You
That's
know, so yeah, when it comes to like the domestic violence, like you hear a lot of people say, I don't even get involved.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
how is that? Is that good? I mean, is that proper? Should we
No,
just all not get involved because we're
no,
afraid
because you
of
you
the
and your you and your abusive partner, Alchemac. Let's say you have an abusive partner and she doesn't, guys. I'm just saying. Let's say you have an abusive partner, and I know you guys are back and forth all the time, fussing and everything. That doesn't mean that I stand by and watch him stomp your head out. Come
Mm,
on now. Like, I mean,
mm,
what are we
mm-hmm,
saying here? What are
mm,
we saying? It's like,
yeah,
no. I might know that. I might be like, they're probably gonna be back tomorrow, back together tomorrow, all cuddled up and everything. But it doesn't mean that I'm gonna sit back and watch him stab you to death or stomp your head out
yeah,
and do nothing because somehow I feel like y'all are gonna be back tomorrow, cuddled
yeah,
up. Like,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but I'm wondering if, a lot of people do that kind of thing out in public, beat up people and all that stuff because they know that
No
nobody's
one will step in.
that there's no accountability being held. So they know, well, look, so ain't nobody gonna do nothing. So I'm gonna just
Right.
go on, as opposed to if you're in a public place and if you put your hands on this woman or this woman put her hands on this man, there's somebody around there going to say something, step up and do something. Would you be more likely not to do it?
Mm.
I'm curious.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I want to make it clear, like stepping in is just not, we shouldn't just step in when it's a man doing it to a woman. I think something needs to be said to when we see something like this happening in public, because women are abusive too, physically. We still should step in.
Yeah.
Because a woman shouldn't be putting her hand, no one should be putting their hand on the other person, period.
Right.
So I don't want it to seem like we're just talking about men disrespecting women and hitting women. I want to be clear on that. We should step in no matter who the perpetrator is.
I agree, because
Yeah.
we teach our children, especially our boys. We teach our
Yeah.
boys don't supposed to hit girls, but we don't teach our
But we
girls
don't teach our girls, no.
that girls don't supposed to hit boys, and they don't. So it's like if both people are keeping their hands to themselves, nobody will get hit.
Right.
It's like common sense logic.
But
Yeah.
you see it a lot of times. I've seen many videos where women, I mean, they slap and and you could tell they do it in a way where it's like they don't expect to be hit back by the guy. You can literally tell that woman really thinks that she is dependent on the fact, she's banking on the fact that his mama raised him with you don't put your hand on woman.
That's
I'm
a good
telling
point.
you, a lot of sisters are out here banking on that, and not every guy was raised like that, and not every guy was raised by their mama.
That's a
And
good
you
point.
might bump into the wrong one and decide you're gonna slap him, and he might knock you out.
Yeah, that's real
So do you
talk.
really want to take that risk? Nah, just keep your hands to yourself.
I agree. What about women who verbally abuse men to the point where they lash out physically? That happens all the time.
Who lashes out physically, the woman or the man?
The man.
Oh, in response to the verbal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
What about them? Women, with verbal abuse by women doesn't surprise me. And it's
But does
only
that
because
fall under the realm of protection for a woman? Are you protecting your man as a woman by verbally abusing them when you get upset?
the reality
You
is like,
MF, you ain't nothing but a lazy, trifling, good for nothing. You make me sick. Get out. That I mean, you know how
oh
the
no,
woman's tongue
yeah,
can get.
we were women would talk to tell men about their penis size, their inability to provide.
We
Um,
go for we go
we
for the
go,
cat.
but that's what I'm saying. When it comes to vileness as far as the tongue is concerned, we got that on lock. Men cannot, no, I'm serious. Men cannot compete with women with that. So
Yeah.
when I hear about like verbal abuse, like women, I really feel are like we are ahead of the game in that one because we pay attention to details, right? So we, especially if you're with a man, you know what his triggers are. You know what those buttons are. You know the things that's gonna hurt him. That's why your mama left you and never look back. Now I see why. Like, I mean, we can come up with all sorts of things. So verbal abuse, yes. Now this is where managing your emotions, and I say this about Black people all the time. We are so reactionary. We are like puppets. People just pull our emotional strings and get us to react so quickly. So it not just women, like if a man says something to you and it hurts you, doesn't give you a right to crack a glass mug over his head. You see what I'm saying? Where does the discipline show up? At what point? Where does the maturity around your emotional maturity
Let's
show up?
get into that.
Yeah,
Talk
when does that
about it.
show up? So a woman telling a man all sorts of vile things, yeah. If all he know to respond to hurt is to hurt back, and hurting back for him is physical, then that's probably what that's going to look like. You know what I mean? For for us women, we know how to hurt back with our tongue.
Mhm.
You know, and then also it depends on upbringing. Some women just grew up rough, you
Mhm.
know, and
Mhm.
and they won't throw something after you or key your car or whatever
Mhm.
else that women be out here doing sometimes. But
Mhm.
it goes back to emotional maturity and
Yeah.
learning how to manage your emotions. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
being able to say, to being able to acknowledge, yeah, that person hurt me, because we have this thing as women where we try to hide emotions. Like, well, I'm not hurt. If you wasn't hurt, you would not have keyed that brother's car and flat his tires, girl. Don't do that.
I don't care.
So,
I
right.
don't
So
care.
there's
We quick to say we don't care, right?
right. You don't care, right? But yes, there's a protection too on our part as women. We have to protect our men. We have to protect our good men, because their names are being stained by the no good rotten men that are out here.
Good
That's
point.
why when these things come up and you have a R. Kelly, we have to be able to have a discussion about R. Kelly and not smother all the other brothers, including your own husband. So I'm surprised when there are women that have good men at home and they come out and they make these general statements. And I'm
Yeah.
like, sis, who are you talking about? You're married to a black man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we gotta be very careful with that in being able to counter that in saying, yes, I understand that people have experiences. I myself may have had experiences like that, but there are good brothers out there.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that we have to protect.
Yeah.
Because
And
the
I
media,
think,
when the media attack, they're not saying, "Oh, we're only talking about the bad black men."
yeah,
All black men are under attack.
that's a good point. That's an
Right.
excellent point. And I think getting into controlling your emotions as a woman. How do you do that? Because I can remember I am so different today than I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 years ago as it relates to how I communicate with men,
Yeah.
with men in particular. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I can, I'm from the hood. I'm from Southeast DC, born and bred. And so I get down with the best of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I learned that's not the best approach to take because it's never a good outcome. It's never once you put them words out there, you can't take them back. You can say, I'm sorry, I didn't need to say that all day and night. But the reality is you can't take them words back. And so if you're not thinking about what you're saying, in the height of your emotionalism, it's a good chance that you can be saying some things that is helping to ruin your relationship as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've learned to do is to not attempt to try to get it all out in the height of my emotions. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? We
Mm-hmm.
have every right to be angry, upset,
Of
frustrated,
course.
all that good stuff as women. Um, but I think we have to be strategic on how we react to our emotions
Mm-hmm.
because when you get into that place, you go out of your mind. You can get so angry you lose your mind. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
that's what people
Mm-hmm.
do it. The jails are filled with people who have lost their mind temporarily out of anger and done
Mm-hmm.
something that they regret, and they got to live in the jail cell for the rest of their life for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's best to calm yourself down.
Yeah.
And for men too. That's why if you in a heated argument with a man and he want to leave, he grabbing for his keys or something to go take a walk or go take a
And
dump.
you blocking the door. Where
Yo,
you
you ain't
going? Where
going
you
nowhere.
going?
You ain't got because you gonna hear what I got to say. To me, I think that's a mistake. I think
Yeah.
that especially if you have a relationship and a bond with this individual, and
Right.
you know that he's not gonna walk out the door and never come back. You know
Right.
that.
Right.
You
You
know,
know. You do
you
know. Yeah.
know, you know your man. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that the best thing to do in that instance is to let him go. Let him clear his air, get some space, clear his mind, because you trying to keep him there and hold him hostage to your words, and they pummeling him can turn into a very dangerous situation.
Very quickly, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly. And then before you know it, you're looking back and it's like, what happened?
What
happened?
What just happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I
let
agree.
that man blow off some steam.
Yeah, when it comes to, I think we can do a better job when it comes to protecting our men, because what you just talked about is a form of protecting your man as well. Because he is walking away for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And you're saying allow him that. Yeah. Right? Versus still trying to push and escalate. And a lot of times, women, we're not satisfied until we get the reaction we're looking for. And that's why we keep pushing. And sometimes the reaction we're looking for is a very toxic one, because a lot of us come from environments where the appropriate reaction is a physical one. And so when a man is not physical, whether it's yoking you up by your shirt or, whatever you're looking for, some sort of physical reaction, some women need that, because that's a form of love. Yeah. That's how they know love. So they push. Yeah. They'll push. So like you said, the man is grabbing for his keys. Why are you blocking the door, sis? Get out the way. Yeah. So what you're doing is you're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting that man by doing so, and you're protecting your household by doing so. Because what sense does it make? Police gets called, and now our entire household is broken up because you could not control your emotions.
That's good.
By allowing that man to walk away. So there's a level of protection involved that we don't really think about as women. Yeah. We're not saying that a woman should be out there with should be the one, you're hiding behind her back. Like you said, we always think protection is physical, right. And you hiding behind her. She's the one with the gun, like, bring it, and you behind her like, ooh, you scared.
Yeah. What she said.
I know. That's not what we're saying. There are so many levels to protecting each other. I think oftentimes you will hear black men say they don't feel like that we have their back. Respect is very important to men generally, not just black men. Respect is at the top of the list. Yeah. When they do these little things, what do you call it? Like a census thing, like they ask men what they look for. Respect is always at the top. Yeah. Respect is always at the top.
I remember a situation that stuck with me. I was working my jury table one day, and this couple came in, and they were middle-aged. They were a little older than me. They probably was in their at this time was probably in their 50s, early 50s or something. And the woman was buying something from me, earrings or something, and the man, I can't remember how it went down, but it was so disrespectful. I think he said something to her along the fact, we gotta go, or hurry up, but he wasn't even really being nasty or obnoxious at all about it. And she turned to him and said something along the lines of, I'm buying this, not you. You wait your mother effing turn, or you wait until I'm done with this before the look of defeat on that man's face is what I'll never forget. Yeah. He looked so defeated, and I couldn't help but to think, whoa, if she talked like this in public,
what does it sound like behind doors?
Good God, could you imagine what's going on behind closed doors?
Mm-hmm.
And and again, that's
a whole ton of emasculating.
Yeah.
And that's the other one too. If you it's almost like, listen, men, and we kind of went off a little bit off of protection, but this is all a part of it.
It is.
Men are not our girlfriends. I think we need to remind ourselves of that all the time. Like, men are not our girlfriends. We can't expect them to react in situations the way that our girlfriends would. Men, you bring a man a problem, they're sitting down thinking, okay, how can I fix this problem? We bring our girlfriends problems. It's like we focus on the problem for hours before we start thinking about what if we even get to the solution part. Be like, girl, you know, he was wrong for that, or you know, like we are in our emotions. And so when
Right.
we deal with our men, we need to stop expecting the same thing. There's a lot of emasculation that happens, and I'm saying this as a black woman myself, that you know, that happens with our men when we're dating them. It happens with our sons when we're raising them, first of
Mm.
all. And then we have these men that come in. A lot of us were raised in homes where there was no demonstration of how to treat a man. You know what I mean? And some of us, we come from homes where even if it was a demonstration, there was an imbalance in that
Yes.
dem. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
we take whatever little we have and we try to do relationships, and we end up jacking each other up, because there is
Yeah.
an emasculation that happens when you talk to a brother like that. You can't even wait until you get in the car. Even if you wait until you get in the car and you say, "Don't you ever do that again," you know, you couldn't even wait. That means that she has no respect, right? No
Yes.
respect. And like I just said, respect is a big one. And I am not justifying cheating. I'm not. But I'm going to say this because women get caught up in this too. You know, if you find out your man is doing something with another woman, the first thing we tend to do is like, we want to know what she looks like, right? And so we do our little, you know, our little PI thing, you know, and we trying to see, we go on social media, and then we find out she is not as cute as us. She just isn't, right? And she just doesn't do it for us. So now we're like in our feelings, like, well, how dare he, as fly as I am? And oftentimes I always say to women, obviously, it's not about the looks.
Mm. Come
Obviously,
on.
it's not about the looks.
Drop him.
But we
Drop
get
him
caught up
bomb.
in that, right? So you're at home busy emasculating your man,
Mm.
okay? And he just happened to run into somebody where in that person, I'm not justifying cheating, guys, so don't kill me. I'm just saying that this happens. He ends up in a space where someone is actually allowing him to be a man. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And you
Mm.
know, and for different reasons, and I'm not justifying it. For different reasons, women are hard. Black women can be hard for a
Yeah.
number of different reasons, and it goes back to the protection thing.
Yeah.
When you had to always do it on your own, and you had
Yeah.
to protect yourself, I can imagine as an adult what that looks like. You're
Right.
not going to wait for a man to do it because
Right.
they never showed up. All your life, they didn't show up.
Right.
So now you're in
You
your
had
30s
to.
and your
It's a
40s.
survival technique.
It's a survival thing. It's
Yeah.
a survival thing. So now you can't expect that woman now to just dash away, you know, that mask of I'm good, I'm strong, I'm independent, because you show up and you feel like you're this good man. It's
Right.
gonna take time for her to even get to a place where she trusts that a man that you can protect her, and you're actually there to love and protect her, because she's
Yeah.
had to protect herself all her life. So this is where it's connected to emasculation. I don't think a lot of women deliberately set out to emasculate men. I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think sometimes we do it and we don't
Right.
even realize that we're
Oh yeah.
doing it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think that's when the brother needs to speak up. He
Yes.
speak up about how he feel. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing our brothers don't do often enough. You know, they hide their emotions. You know, and so instead of telling the woman how what she said or what she did made them feel, you know, they go into this whole protecting themselves mode. So I think that's important too for the brothers to speak up to the women and let the women know. But that again is vulnerability. That's
Yeah, that
vulnerability,
doesn't happen.
and that's a whole nother realm
Yeah, that's
of
a whole. Yeah, that does.
you got to
That
feel
does not.
protected.
We.
You got to feel protected to even
Yes.
express yourself in your feelings in that way. So
Exactly. We will do that. We will tell you all day. We will tell you from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. how we feel
yeah,
and how much that
and
we
beyond.
will
That's
tell
real.
you. We will tell you. We will leave out and go hang out with friends, and you're gonna get a long text continuing the conversation. And then when we get home, we're gonna call you on the way home. And then when we get home and we get into bed, we're gonna continue to tell you how we feel. Oh, you're gonna know how we feel
Yeah,
all day, every day, you know.
yeah,
But our men, they're not doing that. So
yeah,
there's not a fair kind of conversation going on. But I also feel that we also have to make sure that we are providing a safe space for our men to be comfortable enough
yeah,
to even express themselves without being judged. That's the protection, the vulnerability piece. falls under the protection piece we're talking about. For example, if a man cries in front of you, I've heard where woman is like, the hell you crying for? Just
Right.
crying all the time, crying like a little bee. And and I'm just like, sis, if you don't them tears are probably the blows that you're not getting right now.
Come on.
Because of the crap that you're saying to that man. So that man, instead of swinging at you, he's crying. You know what I mean? Or those tears are probably hurt that he's actually trying to express, and he's having a hard time putting them into words. How dare you? How dare you demean him and make him feel less than because he has tears? He's a human being. And
Right.
I always say that this, when it comes to men and what manhood is to Black people, a lot of that is connected to how we're socialized. And so my thing is like, don't see a man as a man first. See him as a human being first.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Because when we start off with men, we all cultures have this idea of this is what a man is supposed to be. And then we have cultures that we're bringing our own cultures, not just from where we our environments and our communities, cultures we're bringing them from our own homes.
Yeah.
So your dad may not have ever cooked.
Right.
May not have ever cooked. And so for you come into a situation and this brother might be into cooking and might like to cook. He might be his thing. And you're sitting there looking at him like, man, you soft or whatever. I have been there where you have to check yourself. It's like, because I grew up around thugs, okay? I grew up around thugs.
Me too.
And so something as simple as, I always say my ex-husband, for example, he would sit with his legs crossed, right? It took me a minute. Like, what are you doing? It took me a minute, and I had to process that within myself. And I realized that no, that has more to do with you than it does with him. Because there's nothing that I never not felt protected. Nothing. It's just that what? I'm like, what?
This wasn't something that you was accustomed to.
No, and then I got around other men from his country, and the older men, the ones that were educated, and that's how they sat when they were having their conversations. It is, and that's when it clicked for me and said, "Child, you are projecting what manhood is."
You're funny. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I'm just trying to your face.
That's just me being, transparent. It's true. So what happens is a lot of women, we gotta be careful making these general statements of this is what a man does. Because a lot of us are coming from different backgrounds, and any of us that grew up in any whole environment know that our description of what manhood looked like before we actually mature,
yes,
it's a toxic one.
Yes,
it's a toxic one. And so when you meet a brother that didn't come up like that, that don't have that certain swag or don't talk a certain way, it's very easy for you to say, oh, that person is soft.
Good point.
So
like,
be careful.
Yeah. The machoism. You don't see the dude always around mean mugging and saying ready to bust somebody's chest. Anybody who say two wrong things to him, that you think that's protection. And
yes.
Really, it could be the 5'6" brother sitting in the background and don't say nothing to nobody. Will be the first one to jump up in a situation.
Exactly.
Be the one that's the warrior type. So we shouldn't.
We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful with projecting, and I find that as women we do that a lot with our men. So it's not just us that needs protection. I think that we have to be strategic and we have to be clear in what protection means as far as a woman. What is your role that you play if you're in a relationship? Not just a relationship, but you have men around you who are just your brothers, your friends.
Yeah. What about
you know what I mean?
Do you earn protection, you think? Do people have to earn the protection of others, or is that something that should just be like automatic?
That's what I was talking to you about earlier. When we got started, the whole I respect who respect themselves is the same thing.
Yeah.
When people say I respect people who respect themselves, I feel like that's a slippery slope. I really do, Alkema. I struggle with that. I really, really do, because you're talking about, like when we talked about this this whole thing with the R. Kelly thing and
And we got a
pedophilia,
few minutes
you
left.
saw, okay, we saw a lot of guys that came up and said, oh no, some of these girls are just fast.
Right.
13-year-old who is fast. And so therefore, if you think that she's fast and she is not respecting herself, then you don't even think to protect a 13-year-old from a 30-year-old.
Good point.
You see what
Very
I'm saying?
point.
So it's a slippery slope. I think we got to be very careful with that.
Good
Very
point.
careful.
Good
Where
point.
I respect who respect themselves. And I'm just like, no, 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 no. No, because some people, you don't know what their experiences are. The prostitutes in the corner, that young sister that just did 20, what she did 20 years, and she just got clemency.
Right.
That was the fight where it's like she was a victim of
Right.
sex trafficking.
Right.
Okay, so there's a lot of women that people might see with out there in the corner, whatever, and they are victims.
Right.
But all you see is somebody pimping out their bodies, right?
Right.
And so you're like, well, why should I respect that person? You don't even think twice. You don't even try to realize that maybe they're being forced to do this.
Right. Right.
So if somebody's choking this prostitute out simply because she's on the corner, you don't feel the need to even get involved or even try to step in. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's a slippery slope. I'm very careful with that.
Yeah. Now we didn't even get into the children, the protection of children at all, and how that plays out in relationships. Like, I'm thinking how we fight and argue with each other around the children, and their poor little hearts have to deal with all that emotionalism because whatever we feeling as adults, they feeling 10 times stronger because they don't have the capabilities emotionally as we do to understand it, to what I'm saying. You think about you when you was a young girl, first time in love, and how you felt, you know what I'm saying, or how or how impressionable you are when you're young. When people say something to you about your hair or your feet or something like that, and you'll think about that and you'll cry yourself to sleep at night. Versus today, I don't give a dag about what somebody think about me. But so I'm saying, the younger we are, the more our emotions are affected by things, stronger, heightened.
Very true.
And when we argue and fight around the children and how that must make them feel. So, how we're not protecting our children when we do that. We're actually putting them in harm's way emotionally when we do that. And we're teaching them. We're training them on how to be in their own relationships when they get older. Because
how to resolve conflict.
Right.
Because that's how a lot of us learn how to resolve conflict. We learned that because that is what was demonstrated in front of us. You argue, you throw things, you curse at each other. That's how we learn. And so what do we think happens when we do it in front of our kids? They're learning. And also too, in those type of situations that you just described, kids can often put the blame on themselves.
Yes.
Because they don't have enough experience to process that, no, this isn't my fault. Just like when people get divorced and so forth. Kids can actually internalize that. Because, like you said, they're children. Their minds do not work the same way.
Right.
Ours, it's like an over-exaggeration.
It's emotional abuse. And like what Cedar said, and this can affect how they treat others as they grow older. No
Absolutely.
doubt. It's no doubt. That's how, and hence we are today, how we find ourselves today. Resolving conflicts in the open and cursing each other out and what I'm saying, and going back and forth and stuff. And because if you don't know no other way, this is how you've been taught. It's going to come out. This is how you're going to do in your own adult life.
So, what are some of the ways that we can do a better job at protecting each other?
I think educating ourselves on what I did. I think the best thing I've ever done for myself before, above and beyond my children, was to take a parenting class.
Yeah, you told me that.
That long, when I was at my wit's end. I have two children, and they both were in their teenage stages, and they both were acting out, and I didn't. Both of them, and I didn't know what to do. I just felt helpless in that moment. And I found myself like crying myself to sleep because I didn't know what to do. And I found this parenting class. And and it's funny because going into the class, I was saying, now this person is going to teach me all the things I need to do, so I can get them in order, so I get them, put them in check.
Mm-hmm.
When I left that class, honey, what I realized is I needed the checking. I
Oh.
was the one who needed all the checking, and until I changed my own way of doing things, that's when I started to see the difference in my home. So I think that we need to educate ourselves on like conflict resolution.
Yes,
Take
yes,
a parenting class, even if you're
yeah,
not a parent,
yeah.
or speak with some people, or speak with those who you see that have a good relationship. Of couples
Mhm.
in your circle that do talk to each other as opposed to shout at each other. And talk to these people, ask them questions, allow them to train you and guide you in a better way. I think that's one of the things we certainly can do.
I think listening to each other is a big one. We don't
Yeah,
listen to each other enough.
yeah.
If you want to know why men they would act the way they act, or understand men a little better, you're gonna have to listen to some men.
Hmm.
And if you want to understand women a little better, you're gonna have to listen to some women. And so I think listening to each other is a big, big one. We need to
Yeah,
listen more and fight less. Fight
yeah,
less. And understand when you ask a question or you're communicating, like, we have these things, we have triggers. So sometimes people are not even thinking about you in their explanation. They're explaining, they're responding to your question.
true.
And because of whatever your trigger is, you then get offended. You have to check that within yourself, because that's going to be a part of effective listening anyway. So I think we have to listen to each other more. I don't think we do enough of that. I think we start off and then it ends up being this big fight.
Shouting
You know?
match.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we definitely need to listen to each other more. I'm more for I really would like to see a little bit more men group.
Yes.
Every time you look around, you all you see sister circle, sister circle, sister circle. Men don't do brother circles. I'm just
Right.
asking. So if you're on the live, let us know. But like, men, y'all don't do that. Like, I mean, y'all don't get together and say, this is what we're gonna focus on and what we can do better as
Right.
far as building our woman up. You never really see much of that. I want to see more of that in 2019.
Right.
And I would definitely like to see more transparency in our sister circles. People come in sister circles to fellowship,
Yeah.
and so it just stays on the surface. No one is going deep. It becomes a bashing session sometimes. It becomes a
Yeah.
gossip session.
Right.
And so I want to see less of that, to where women are coming together and actually, really being transparent and vulnerable, and trusting each other and sharing and really seeking the help, that we need. If you've had several failed relationships and you want to do better, then you're going to have to take ownership of how you contributed to those failed relationships first. That's the first step.
Yeah.
And a lot of
That's right.
times the sisters are not willing to do that.
That's right. Self
Mhm.
accountability. That's where I'm
Yeah.
seeing that it's lacking a lot in our community. It's lacking a lot. I think we are so afraid of just saying my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault. In apologizing. It's like our egos won't allow us to do that, and I think that's hurting us because we won't look at ourselves to change. And if we won't do that, we won't ever change. As
Yeah.
long as it's somebody else's fault as to why things are the way they are, they'll never change. Things will never change. We have to
Agreed.
start being brave enough to look at ourselves and being like, you know what? Or hearing if somebody else telling us some stuff about ourselves, it's true. Everything they saying is true.
Hmm?
And instead of trying to justify or deny or get mad that you hearing it, own up. You know what? You are absolutely right. That's the first step. And if we don't do that, we can't even get to the next step of changing our bad behaviors because we won't even admit we have them.
Yeah.
So that
But
self accountability thing is key.
what you just said too, I agree with personal accountability. I also believe in not weaponizing people's faults.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because we take people's faults and we attack them
Yeah.
with the faults that they have.
Good point.
That none of us are flawless.
Good
None
point.
of us.
Good
So we
point.
got to be very careful with that because there's a way to talk to each other.
Yeah.
There's a way where someone feels attacked, and then there's a way where someone feels understood. And I think even in that, that's a skill set in itself. We got
Yes,
to
it is.
work on that. We
Yes,
got
it
to work on
is.
that. Yeah. Because what can happen to us is like, Alchema, let's say you can have a flaw. And because that's not my flaw, right? I take that
Mm.
flaw of yours and I feel big in attacking
Empowered
your flaw. Yeah, I feel powerful
or my
because
flaw.
yeah, because I can attack you on that flaw because it's not mine.
Yes.
But I still have my own. It might not
Yes.
be that. And so
Yes.
what happens to us is like, well, she don't do this and I do. So now we feel powerful in pointing that out in you because we don't have it in ourselves. But what are your flaws?
Yep.
Can
Yep.
we talk about those too? So I think we gotta be careful in weaponizing each other's flaws as well
Good
and using
point.
them against each other. That's not good.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's an
Yeah.
excellent point. Excellent point. Well, family, it is 3:09.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
Carvel asked, don't you guys have any brothers in your group, like fathers? I don't know if he's asking personally or
Mhm.
people out there in general. So I don't know. Women need to know that we all are broken, Wasita said. That goes into personal accountability right
Yeah.
there. If you can't accept that you got issues that you need to work on, because ain't none of us perfect, and when you look out into society and see where we got a lot of issues that we need to work on. And if you can't if you can't even do that, then it's a good opportunity that you're not going to see the necessary personal growth you need to get
Mm-hmm.
to a better level. And we don't understand that if we don't take that growth, that those necessary steps to improve ourselves, we can't even expect to have like healthy relationships and things like that. That go hand in
And
hand.
you and you know what, Alchema, when sometimes they will have like topics to discuss like at everlasting life, specifically when Brother Genie would do his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those those conversations, people show up for them because I really think that we're really trying to figure out how to do
Yeah.
this relationship thing.
Right.
People want to know.
Yes.
People really want to know, and they're really trying to seek out the help in really understanding like why can't we get this right?
Right. Right.
Because those when that topic comes to the surface, like it's always a hot topic to discuss
Right. And I
because I
think
think people genuinely want to know.
those type of discussions help me. I know they
Yeah,
help me, and that's why I go. Even the ones I think I know it all. Oh, I know all there
yeah,
is to know about this topic. I go
yeah,
anyway, and I'm usually the conversations that I get the most out of
yeah.
because I'm
Carvel, go ahead.
I'm sorry, because I'm taking the necessary steps for myself. I'm taking the
Exactly.
necessary steps to help myself.
Yep.
Yeah, and then there's other people out here. That's what we do. We learn from each other.
Yeah.
You know.
Carvel, yeah. We do know brothers. What we were asking about is where the groups where brothers have like their own groups.
Mhm.
To where if I meet a brother and he's struggling, I could refer him. These brothers meet every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We
Right.
don't know, we don't really know of groups like that. When it comes to resources as far as women and having safe places to express their emotions, whether it be healthy or unhealthy, you have no problem finding those
Right.
resources. But when it comes to our men, it's almost like finding a needle in a haystack. You have to dig for that.
That's
So
true.
that's what we're saying. We want to see more of that because I think that's something for the brothers to do amongst themselves. I don't think it's for us to run any men groups.
No. Yeah.
No.
I don't. It's not about Hanifa and I per se.
Yeah.
It's about the community. And so
Right.
when we give suggestions and advice, we're speaking of helping our entire community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
All right, family. Thanks again for tuning in. And again, if you've heard anything in this conversation that you think is helpful and that could possibly help others along in their journey, all we ask is for you to share. Please share the information. You never know who's on the
Yeah.
opposite end of that share, who that was just what the doctor ordered. They needed to hear what we were discussing today because they're at a place in their life that they needed this information. So Be that catalyst for change, family. Let's help each other, encourage each other. Don't hold the information. It does us no benefit just to hold the information tight in our own chest. It goes nowhere. It gets nothing done. So,
Right.
Hanifa and I do this. It's the Empower Hour every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. Next week we will. Oh, I'm not sure what we'd be doing next week. I'll talk to
Right.
you later about that. But join our page, Empower Our Talk Show. Please encourage your friends and family to do the same. We also have a YouTube station. Hey, YouTube family. Under Miss Free the People. That's MS Free the People. If you could subscribe to us there, we would certainly appreciate it. We're attempting to get our numbers up there. Michael and Denori and Jimmy and Aaron, we certainly appreciate you guys joining in on the discussion. All right. Until next week, family, take care of each other out there. Peace.
Peace.